Hi there everyone, welcome back to my garden. So today I'm going to be talking about clematis, and in particular Clematis Montana, which is one of the very earliest clematis to flower. It's really easy to look after. You can just set it away and leave it for years and years. I grow mine through trees, and I also grow it up over this porch here, which I don't particularly like the porch, but we're sort of limited for space, so there's nothing I can do much with it to aesthetically say. So what I did was 15 years ago, I planted Clematis Montana, two on this side of the porch and two on the other side. I'll look for some old footage. I'm going to have to put my sunglasses on because the sun's really bright. I'll look for some old footage which shows you what the porch looked like up until last year. And then we had major water damage inside this porch. It was ceiling to floor flooded, so we had to have the roof repaired, which meant, because you'll see from the footage, the Montana was huge over the top. It was like a hedge. And I loved it because, particularly from the bedrooms, you could just see the flowers laid out below. Birds nested in it. Anyway, we had to take it off the roof so that the builders could get up. So I thought, right, I'll take the camera off the tripod and I'll show you the clematis I'm talking about. At the base of the wall there, let's go in and have a look. So this is the Montana. You can see how old and established it is because of how thick these stems are. So we chopped it off by there. And at the end of autumn last year, I thought, right, I bought a climbing rose, and I thought I'm going to have a climbing rose this side, and I'll leave the Montana at the other side. We'll go in here. So that is the base of the Montana there. And it climbed all the way up here and then up and over. Right, so don't laugh at this, but yesterday I couldn't wait for the right kind of substantial net or mesh or trellis to go up here. So I put this very flimsy netting on and I staple gunned it to the top. It was very precarious to do, and I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. It was quite stupid, really. So that was the left-hand side, and I thought, right, that'll grow up this year, it'll bush out, and you'll not see that netting. And then when my husband has some time or the inclination, he will put some substantial netting over the top of there, and the Montana will grow again. But when I look at the Montana at this side, oh yes, I can see some signs of life there. So that is the clematis coming out there and there. This is all new. But there's no sign of life in here, and it's very bare down here. I'm not happy with either side of that. I originally intended to dig these two clematis out at the end of last autumn when we were having the roof repaired, and we just ran out of time. I never got around to doing it. So this year I expected it to all just shoot away and climb back up again, and it hasn't. So my thinking now is that I am going to leave the clematis on the left-hand side, and I'm going to take that hideous green netting down and let the clematis flop into the magnolia. And on this side, I'm going to dig out both of these clematis. I'll chop them off quite low. I'll dig them out, and I'll show you where I'm going to plant them, and then I'm going to paint that trellis black, the same as that trellis, and I'm going to plant this rose. So I'm going to plant this climbing rose, which I bought in a sale at a local nursery at the end of last year, and this one is called Shot Silk. Fragrant cherry cerise with silky textured flowers, strong growth and plentiful glossy foliage. So it will hopefully grow quickly and hide all that hideous brickwork. So I'm going to chop them down to the bottom, maybe leave about, I don't know, 18 inches. You can see also I've planted out loads of, these are Amimagus. And that growing there is Veronicastum alba. So I'm going to have to dig these back out, dig the Amimagus back out. I'll just lie them to the sides. They'll be okay for a few minutes until I get, well, a few minutes, that's wishful thinking, isn't it? Half an hour to get this clematis out. Let's see how we go. Right, I'm going to get my loppers. Here it goes. There we go. Oh, he's nice and healthy. He's nice and green in there. I'm going to do this one as well. At least with this nice thick trunk, I'm not going to forget where I've put him. I know when I planted them, they had such spindly little green stems. Oh, it's cutting with my secateurs, that's fine, and you can see it's lovely and healthy, those stems. I don't know what's going on with, what is this called, this grouting on this part of the brick wall. It's horrible. Some old Christmas lights there. This is brutal, isn't it? But I want to get this painted, and I want to get that new climbing rose in. And I think that's going to be gorgeous, and hopefully I can sort of clip it onto this support and then grow it round to that support as well. And then this corner will be full of beautiful roses. I'm not going to risk my secateurs on that. I'll get the loppers. I'll get that painted now. Right, so I'm going to use my fork and I'm going to dig these plants out. And what I'll do is I'll just lie them on the side there. Oh, they've got lovely, these are the ones I grew from seed. Look at the roots on them. Beautiful. So I need to get them back in as quickly as possible. Now that I'm actually doing it, now that I've decided what I'm doing, I'm very excited about getting this rose in and just having a different plant growing up and over the top of the porch. And from what I can remember of clematis roots, they're sort of dark yellow. And like I say, he's been here 15 years, so... Oh. Right, I think I'm going to have to use the spade. And I know it'll cut his roots, but he's going to have a whole year to recover before next spring. So this is what I'm going to do with the 2 clematis that I dig out. I'm going to plant them at the base of 2 of their trees, and this is what it will grow like. So you see that growing up there? This is a Japanese cherry tree, and that is a clematis, which is the same age as those other 2 clematis that grew over the porch. So it's 15 years old. And what happens is it grows all the way up to the top of this cherry tree. And it is also, that's it there, hanging in the cherry tree. And it's also hanging down there. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And the brilliant thing about it, growing the clematis in the cherry tree, is that the cherry tree is, the blossom on the cherry tree in my garden, particularly because it's so windy, is quite short-lived. So it's like a fortnight at the most I get. But what happens is when the blossom of the cherry tree is finished, the clematis is just flowering. So you can see the green. I hope you can see at the top. That's all Clematis Montana. And that's what it would have been like on the porch now if I hadn't had to cut it all down. So the Clematis Montana takes over the pink frost. And I get a good sort of month and a half's worth of pink blossom in this tree now rather than 2 weeks. So it was great. Right, so now I need to wander up the garden and find a good spot to plant these clematis. So I want one at the base of this rowan tree. So I'm going to dig this plant back out and I'm going to plant the clematis here. And I know the soil's nice and workable. So I'll cut him all back and plant him elsewhere. So this is the area I'm going to work and put the clematis in. So I'm going to need a nice deep hole. And then I'm going to go and get some of my homemade compost and put that in the hole, mix it with the soil. Right, let's see if that's deep enough for one of them. Yeah, I can pop him in there like that. A bit bigger maybe. Right, so there's my homemade compost. It's got loads of eggshells still in it, a few potato peelings there. So I'm just going to drop that into the hole like that. And then I'm going to work it in with my shovel, mix it all up because it'll be far too rich a mix that to put the roots straight into it. So put the soil back in, mix it up. Then dig it back out again. Make sure the bottom of the hole is nice and loose. And I assure you I'm doing this straight away. I haven't been in the house and had a cup of tea or anything like that since I dug him out. So he's had his roots exposed for the least amount of time possible. Right, put him like that. Actually, I want him to grow towards this tree. So backfill him. You come back and throughout the year and have a look at my garden. Every time I'm doing a garden tour or in this area, I'll keep you updated on how he's doing. So I'm just going to gently firm that in. I'm not pressing down hard. And then I'm going to get a watering can of water and give him a good soak. Right, so get out this border and we'll go up here. So I would really prefer it if I could have planted him the other side of this tree, but it's so not congested, but it's so well planted round here. I don't want to disturb anything. If this was the autumn, it would be a different matter. So I can see where I'm going to put this one. So in this area here, this sort of brown patch of earth, I've dug out a New Zealand satinflower, which was huge but old and had stopped flowering, and I planted it out with lupins. But at the base of this tree here, I've got a lot of Shasta daisy, which just grows like wildfire in my garden. It's beautiful. I really appreciate it, but it can take over, so I don't mind losing a big lump of that. So I'm going to take some out like that. I'm going to dig a hole here and plant that clematis here, and then I'll put something in front of him to shade his roots. I want it nice and deep. It's surprisingly easy to dig round here. I thought the tree root would have been a problem, but it's not. You know, I'm going to trim off some of these roots. I'll trim that off. It will make it easier for me to get him into a hole. Because I think if he's going to do anything and survive, then it doesn't matter if I take a few inches off his roots. I need it sort of longer, the hole. His grass out while I'm here. I've been lovingly trying to restore my lawn after the damage I caused to it building the greenhouse, nurturing each little blade of grass that comes up, and in the borders it's just rampant. Right, I'll go and get some compost. Right, I'm back. So that's my compost. I'll just do the same in this hole, tip it in, put the soil I've dug out back in. Right, they're bulbs, so I'll replant them somewhere. Right, these are the roots I was telling you about. You see how orangey they are now? They are the roots of this clematis here. So I have to be very careful with them. I don't want to chop him. But he flowers much later in the year. Sort of early summer, where the Montana was sort of springtime. Right, let's get him in. Just going to lay him up against the tree like that, and then backfill him. You know, I think this is why I've been putting off doing this and fussing around doing other things and trying to talk myself into, yeah, you're making the right decision, just leave him there this year. When all the time I knew I wanted him out and I wanted the rose in there. So do you do that? Just because I didn't want the hard work of digging him out. Right. Right, and I think I'll put that chive-like plant in there, and that will cover his roots up. Right, and what I'm going to do with this, because this, it even, oh, it's so strong of smell of onions or chives. I'm just going to chop him right down because it is so early in the year. And this foliage has been here since, well, it's been here all winter. So I'm sure he'll sprout away and it'll take all the strain off his roots so he can just sort of settle in. Right, watering can of water needed. Right, so that's the end of the clematis video. I'm so pleased I got that done. So I'm going to go in, have a cup of tea now. I might actually bring it back out into the garden, just sit and admire all the spring flowers that are coming up because it's beautiful. So yes, I'll do that and then I'll get changed and paint that trellis and plant the rose. So have fun in your garden this week if at all possible, and I'll see you next time. Bye.